Welcome to another training session for competition robotics. Alright, so in this session what we're going to do is you're going to have a general competition file, and we're going to talk about the functions that is going to be in the file. So there's going to be a function for you to move forward, for you to move backwards, that is reverse, that is to turn left and to turn right. So those are the four functions that you're going to be using or the four commands. I'm going to show you exactly where you're going to be placing those commands. Sorry, excuse me. I'm going to be showing you exactly where you're going to be placing those commands. And then, of course, I will kind of just briefly talk about the other functions and then we'll move again. Alright, so after talking about the other functions, then we will move again. So, the functions in the code file are as follows. So the first one is forward. When called, allows the robot to move forward. The user will specify the time that the robot is moving forward for. Alright, so you will specify the amount of time you want the robot to be moving forward for. And of course, this will be at the maximum speed that the robot can move. Alright, so speed versus time will allow it to travel a certain distance. And of course, that you will measure as well. Reverse, alright, REV, that function allows the robot to reverse. And of course, the user again will specify the time. The user will specify the time and work out the angles alright, so that's the ideal. So, in terms of specifying and working out the time and angles for the gripper in, alright, but we're not going to be using the gripper in this competition. So gripper in allows the robot class to move in, and we will work out the time that the object will be moving, the claw will be moving in for. But of course that will not be used. Gripper out allows the robot's class to move in. Arm up allows the robot's arm. Alright, so arms up allows the robot arm to move upwards, and this function arm down allows the robot arm to move downwards. What we will pay attention to though is these functions like turn left and turn right. So this left function, right, when called allows the robot to move left, and of course we will specify the time that the robot is turning left for. This function right, and of course I should have my little curly brackets there again, my little brackets, allows the robot to move right when we type in that in the specific location that we'll be talking about. Wait here allows the robot to stop, alright, for a specified time, alright, and of course what we also want to talk about is this delay. When we talk about delay 1000, that means 1 second. Alright, so this is the Arduino IDE that we're going to be, I'm going to open it up and of course show you the entire coding, and of course you're going to be entering code in this work area here. Alright, so the code will be inserted in between the space here, and of course this is inserted under the void loop function. In order to know how far the robot can move, alright, we can do something called calculated navigation. So what we're going to do, we're going to allow the robot to move forward, say for 1 second, and then we'll measure that distance. When we measure that distance now, this will be the basis for the other calculations. So if we know how far it moves in 1 second, then automatically we will know how far it moves in 2 seconds. If we know how far it moves in 2 seconds, automatically we'll know how far it moves in 10 seconds and half seconds and so forth. Because we will do direct proportions. Alright? In terms of turning left or right, we need to turn left or right through certain angles. And of course the time that we allow the robot to turn for, alright, a specified time will be equal to a certain amount of angle. So what we do is that we can put in the robot for it to move, say 100 milliseconds, and then just record an angle. And then now we can say, okay, for every 100 milliseconds we will know the angle that the robot is turning through. Alright, so that's the concept. So in terms of some sample codes for moving forward, alright, this is the function that we'll use to move forward. We call this function, and this specifies the time the robot will move forward for. Alright, so moving forward, call this function, this is the time robot move forward for. So 1000 means 1 second. So the robot move forward for 1 second. And of course, after that, we'll stop all of the motor functions. Alright? If we want the robot to turn left, then of course we call this function and then delay for this time, and this is the amount of time the robot will be turning left for. And of course we can use a protractor at this point to record the angle. So that's the concept. And of course this function allows us to pause for an additional 1 second. Right, so in terms of a journey, what's happening here is that the robot moves forward for 1 second, then it stops, alright, and pauses for a second, then it turns left a certain degree that we can measure, and then after that it pauses again, then it moves forward for 1 second. So using the sequence of commands, we can move forward, then stop, then we can make a left turn, then we can move forward again, and of course this can happen repeatedly. Alright, so that is the idea and the concept. Alright, so please note the code is entered under the void loop as will be demonstrated. Alright, so in the Arduino IDE, this is how it will look. This is the forward function with the brackets and then the semicolon. Then it moves forward for this amount of time, 1 second, then wait here. Alright, so this is just an example of how it is in the Arduino IDE, which of course we will be going through it in details as well to show you what's happening. Alright, so in terms of a flow as well, again, another flow. Forward, this amount of time, the robot moves forward for 1 second. So that is what these first two lines mean. The first instruction allows it to move forward. The second instruction tells you the time you want it to move forward. The third instruction, wait here, does exactly that. The robot then waits there for a certain time. Then it pauses for 1 second. Then afterwards, the left turn is initiated. So we call this function for the left turn. So we turn left by a certain amount. And that asterisk is there because we're going to measure the amount by which we turn by in terms of degrees. Wait here allows the robot to do exactly that. Delay 1000 allows the robot to pause for 1 second. Then we move forward again. And of course, then we're going to be reversing. So reverse, calling this function allows the robot to reverse. And this is the time that we're reversing for. So what you can see is that based on the functionality of the code, we're only using the functions forward, backward, or reverse, turn left, turn right. And that will allow us to do our navigation, as long as we do our little bit of mathematics as well. Alright, so if there are any questions, of course, I can always be reached on WhatsApp. And of course, what I'm also going to be doing is that you can also reach me on my YouTube channel as well. And of course, that information I will have for you, alright, in short order. Alright, so until then, alright, keep on coding, alright, and keep on enjoying robotics. Alright, so we did the PowerPoint presentation earlier. Now this is the alright, so we did a PowerPoint presentation earlier. This is actually the Arduino coding interface. Alright, so in the Arduino coding interface, alright, so in the Arduino coding interface, the first things here is that Robotics Competition code file, and some important information is here. Note, well, use 9,900 milliamp hour battery. We're going to be using one of the better forms of the 18650 batteries, the 9,900 milliamp for optimum performance. Alright, so that's the idea. So we're going to be using the 9,900 milliamp batteries, and of course that will give us optimum performance. And of course, I'm Wayne Thompson, robotics engineer at KRWTRONICS, and also technology strategist. And of course, all of these codes were written by us for our robotics platform, all rights reserved. So what I'm going to do is probably just to go through the entire thing, but of course there's only one aspect of this code that you're going to need to know, and of course that is what I'm going to be zeroing on. But for here, this first set of code here is, alright, so int loop. There is a certain number of times that we're going to be doing certain things in the code, and I'm going to be talking about that just for a brief while. Here we talk about all of the motors that is normally on our platforms, and those motors are connected to our analog pins. So A1 is analog pin A1, analog pin A2, analog pin A3, analog pin A4, analog pin A5, and of course analog pin A0. So we have 6 analog pins, and that's from 0 to 5. Alright, so we have the left motor, the left motor 1, left motor 2, right motor 1, right motor 2, and of course we can enable the left motor and enable the right motor. So these are just some functions that's going to allow our robot to move. Alright, so here we have normally on some of our robotics packages some servo motors, and of course we can control the speed of our servo motors. Our servo motors allows the arms to move upwards and downwards, and also we can allow, alright, the grippers to move in and out. So that's the concept. Alright, but that is not the part of the code that you will zero in on. Alright, so this file, you'll just be given this file, and the part of this file that you're going to be focusing on is not up here, but here, right where it says type between the spaces provided. Now, in between the spaces provided, what I want to show you is this. In order to allow the robot to move forward for 1 second, you just need these 2 commands. Just to type in the word forward exactly as it is, then put a semicolon, then the robot will move forward for 1 second. Then of course we just put this function here for the system to pause a little while. And then of course we put the delay for it to pause an extra second. This pause is a very short pause, so that is why we add this extra one. Alright. So next instruction is that we want the robot to move left or turn left. Alright, and we want it to turn left by a specified amount of time. It's going to turn left for an amount of time 100 milliseconds. Alright, and then we pause, and then we wait again. Then we will want the robot to move forward, alright, for another 1 second. Alright, and of course forward is the function that allows it to move forward. Delay tells me the time that it is going to move forward for. 1000 is in the bracket, so it moves forward for 1 second. After moving forward, I might want the robot to reverse. So I write in this command. This command allows the robot to reverse. Alright, so I can put a double arrow like this. This. Alright, so let me type this properly. So this allows the robot to move backward. Alright. So that's the concept. Alright, so that's the REV command that allows the robot to move backward. And of course, this specifies a time. So moving backward for 1 second. So move. So moving backward for 1 second. Alright, so that's the concept. Alright, of course we can save. Alright, so that is the most important. So those are the functions. The arm up function we will not use, and of course the arm down function will not use, neither the gripper in or out. Alright, so that's the concept. So since we're not going to be using the arm up nor the gripper functions, what we can do is we can take them out so that you don't have to see them. Alright, so we can block them out, and of course this is the end of where the typing of the code would be. So between these 2 double spaces here and this one up here, this is where you will be writing your code. So type your code here, and then the other space is right here. Alright, type your code here. So in between these 2 lines alone, this will be focused. This will be the focus. All of the other coding in the entire file is just to allow us to do these simple commands. Alright, that's the idea. So this is on the void loop. That is where you will have all of your functions. So what I want you, again, I want you to be focusing here. Type your code between these two spaces. So that's one, and this is the other one. So all of the code goes there. These functions, alright, so we're not going to be using any arms, robot arms and robot claws. So arm up will not be used in this competition, arm down will not be used, gripper in will not be used, and gripper out will not be used in this competition. Alright, so that's the concept. Alright, so these are the functions that you use. Forward allows you to move forward. Alright, wait here allows you to pause for a while. Delay allows something to operate for a certain time. Left allows the robot to turn left. Alright, and of course you need to specify the amount of time it is turning left by, and that is the reason for this function. Alright, so that's the concept. So the flow here again is that the robot moves forward, then it waits for a while, then it turns left, and it turns left for 100 milliseconds, then it waits for a while, then it moves forward again, and then after moving forward, alright, for this specified time we transition to reversing. Alright, that's what REV stands for. REV, that function, and of course we reverse. Alright, so let's write this properly. This wasn't written properly at all. So moving backward for 1 second. So REV allows the robot to move backward for a second. Then arm up, not going to be used, but if you wanted the arm to move up by a certain amount, we use these two functions here. Arm up, want arm to move down, we just say arm down. Gripper in, we say gripper in. Gripper out, gripper out. So that's the concept. Alright, and of course the actual functions or the actual commands that make up arm down is these sets of codes. Alright, so this is what you didn't have to write. Alright, so we the engineers just wrote these ones. Arm up, this is the set of code that operates behind the scene for arm up. Gripper in, this is the set of code that operates, alright, for gripper in. That's a set of code that operates for gripper out, and this is the set of code that operates behind the scenes, that operate behind the scene for reverse. This is the one that operates behind the scene for moving forward. Alright, this is the one that operates behind the scene for move. Alright, so this is for, yeah, the left turn, and this is for the right turn. Alright, sorry, this is for the right turn. Alright, and of course this is for the wait here function where all motors are switched off. Alright, so that's the concept. So of course you're not expected to write all of those codes. Alright, all of that is written, and of course now between these two spaces, alright, so specify again, very important, between these two spaces you'll just type in the simple commands. Forward, reverse, which is REV, left and right. Alright, so in typing in forward, just to specify a few things, I am highlighting the fact that there is this bracket. Alright, and then this code allows us to move for the specified time, forward for that amount of time. Wait here pauses the system. Delay 1000 allows the robot to wait for 1 second. Alright, if I want the robot to turn left, I use that function. Then of course now this function allows me to turn left for that amount of time, that specified time. That's the concept. Of course, wait here again, the system pauses for that amount of time. Then we talk about delay, the system pauses for 1 second. Then we talk about moving forward again. So if we talk about moving forward, that is the function. We have to move forward for a specified time. We have to specify that. That is the reason for that line of code. Alright, reverse, REV, this allows the robot to move backward. Alright, and of course we have to do that for a certain amount of time. We have to specify how long we want to be moving backwards for. Alright, arm up allows our arm to move up, but of course that function will not be used. All right, so that's the concept. So this is an example of what we want you to do. And of course, in the practice sessions now, what will happen is that you will use the forward function alone, and you will allow it to move forward for 1 second, and then you measure that, and then now you can then allow it to move 2 seconds, calculate it to see how far it will get in 2 seconds, and then measure to see if it is coming out the same. And these are the things now that will help you to perform in the robotics competition. Alright, so thank you very much again. I'm Wayne Thompson. Alright, so robotics and STEM engineer at KRWTRONICS. We'll be looking forward to seeing you, and of course you will get a copy of this training video, and these training videos will also be posted on my YouTube channel, Wayne Thompson STEM Club. And so please like, subscribe, and of course take some time to look through the entire channel for of course more and of course great robotics content as well. So see you in the next session. Bye for now.